And we're live.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the European Racing Series here with me, Kai Bacchini. I'm going to be your main commentator here today, and join me alongside me in the commentary box is going to be Steph like usual. We're here at the beautiful circuit, the beautiful Belgian circuit of Spa-Francorchamps for round 11 of Tier 1. So, Steph, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm very much looking forward to this race. Spa is always a good one on the calendar. Very, very unpredictable. A longer lap than some of the other circuits that we have, but definitely a very, very exciting one.
Yes, it always packs a lot of action, especially as you make your way up that Eau Rouge and Radion section. We always see some brave overtakes up there, and I think it'll be interesting to see what these drivers go for.
100%. I mean, there's lots of points around this lap that you could get in a little bit of trouble with. Lots of points where you can go wide, lots of curbs to ride for maximum track limits. So it could be very, very interesting. We could definitely see some lap invalidations throughout this qualifying session, and we could definitely see some black and white flags being waved in the race for track limits.
Yeah, I think 100% we will see some invalidated laps here. Spa, notorious for the strict and difficult track limits. So I think drivers, they're going to have to keep their eyes on that and keep on top of it at all times.
Definitely. And like we've been seeing in many of the races in the last couple of weeks, in the last few weeks, we've been seeing lots of penalties being picked up specifically for track limits infringements. So that is definitely going to be something that all of the drivers are going to have to be very wary about today, because it has cost...
Steph, you still there? Oh.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
cut out for a second there.
My apologies. Yeah, I was just
No
saying
problems.
that we have been seeing a lot of issues in the last couple of weeks of the drivers picking up penalties for track limits infringements, and so they're going to have to be very wary, because we did see Luca, I think it was, lose out on a race victory. I believe it was around Silverstone for infringing track limits. So definitely something that the drivers are going to want to avoid today.
Yeah, track limits, it's really going to be an issue for some of these drivers, and especially, as you said, it can have such a massive effect on their race. I don't think many people realize how big of an effect it actually has. But these drivers, of course, they know the consequences, but it is just so difficult to keep it completely clean, especially around a 50% race. To not have more than 3 warnings, it's difficult, but it is possible.
Yeah, definitely. So this is going to be a 22-lap race today, because Spa is Spa is the longest circuit on the calendar at just over 7 kilometers long. So there are lots of points where you can go off, and yeah, it will definitely be difficult for the drivers to avoid all of the penalties, as we see a yellow flag coming out in sector 3.
Yeah, yellow flags in qualifying, most likely just seeing drivers getting out of the way of each other and making sure that they don't get themselves a penalty for costing someone else a hot lap out on the track. But with it being so early on in the session, with it still 15 minutes remaining on the clock, I won't be expecting any major times yet, but you never know. ERS, it always surprises me.
It does surprise us indeed, and it will be interesting to see. I'm just on board with Rainbow, actually, who has invalidated his first flying lap. Oh no, it was Luca. My apologies. I'm on board with Luca, who invalidated his first flying lap by going a little bit wide. So that is not ideal for your first one, and especially because this circuit is so long. This track is one lap is so long, so the drivers are not going to have as many laps to be able to pump out an incredible pole qualifying lap. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult and put a little bit more pressure on the drivers today.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the benefits of having such a long track like Spa is that, well, I mean, when people are trying to do their hot laps, the track is going to be nowhere near as congested as somewhere like Monaco, that tight street circuit. It's always difficult to try and get out the way of people. But here, Spa, you've got so much room on the track, and it's such a long track as well. I think there shouldn't be much an issue with drivers impeding each other.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the positives that we have around Spa today. And as we see, with just less than 14 minutes, we have our first time on the board, and it is Vexit who has done a 1:49. And that has immediately been broken by Get Owned, who has been an exceptional qualifier in the last couple of races. He is on pole by just less than 1/10 of a second, so Yeah, brilliant polls, and Top Jack, who is our reserve driver again. He is no longer with AlphaTauri, who he was with last week. He is now with Williams. He's just come in P3. So we're getting the times on the board slowly but surely.
Yeah, it seems like we have quite a few reserves in this race, but Top Jack, we saw the pace that he had last week. Unfortunately, wasn't able to put it out with a result, but let's hope he's able to do it this time round at Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah, and just as you were talking, we have one of our reserves who has gone fastest. So Scars is replacing Ben this week, Ben in the Mercedes. So Scars has done an incredible lap, about 400ths of a second quicker than Get Owned in P2. So it is very, very close up at the top, at the front of the grid right now. So we'll see how much quicker those times can actually go.
Yeah, so with that 140.8 currently being the benchmark for other drivers, I think I really wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing those times tumbling down, and especially with different drivers setting those fastest lap times, I'm sure we won't be surprised to see a mix.
Yeah, definitely. And Get Owned will want to be getting right at the front of the grid and be competing with Scars for that pole position, and we'll be going out on another run quickly. I was just on board with Yonti, who did invalidate his latest lap, so we'll likely be having, oh, he's jumping into the pits and will go again after. So Yonti has not always been the quickest guy in qualifying, but he does pack exceptional race pace, so that is definitely where he's going to excel today. But someone who has great qualifying pace and great race pace is Vexit, who we did not see last week. And so what can Vexit do today? Do we think he can go on pole? Do we think anything he can go even faster on pole? And could he end up with a race victory today?
Well, to be honest with Vexit, are we really going to expect anything less than a top 3 from him? We've seen a couple of Vivi qualifyings from him, but apart from that, he's been very, very consistent at the top of the tables. So, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a pole on his race back.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's definitely something to expect from Vexit. He does have incredible pace both in qualifying and in the race. And his teammate Lando Milkman has been doing quietly well, but also, I believe, retired last session. So it was not a good week for AlphaTauri last week. So hopefully AlphaTauri will be able to do a little bit better this week now that they have both of their drivers here and present and capable of scoring points.
Yeah, so the team's constructors currently very, very tight at the top. Obviously with that AlphaTauri team packing so many points from Vexit, he's very far out in front on those drivers' championship. But let's see if he's able to pull it for the constructors as well, with Lando's Milk and obviously aiding alongside his points as well.
Yeah, and just picking up on that, we actually saw AlphaTauri be jumped by Renault in the Constructors' Championship right now, and Renault have extended their lead with Get Owned's victory last time out. So, yeah, Renault are definitely one of the teams to beat, but we do have a reserve in place of Milan this week. So we'll have to see how well Renault perform, and whether AlphaTauri can manage to get that gap down between P1 and P2.
Yeah, so if it is a good result from AlphaTauri this week, I think we will see a little bit of a jump back from them. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. We'll never know until the checkered flag falls for these drivers.
Yes, we will. Yes, we won't know until we see. I'm just on board with Rainbow right now, who is yet to put a lap on the board, which has been invalidated. He's gone incredibly wide, so I'm going to see him backing off of this lap, hopefully, and trying again. So, not ideal for both of the Red Bulls. We are seeing that Luca has left the game, or Luca is not here with us at the minute, so he doesn't have a time on the board. Rainbow doesn't have a time on the board. This Red Bull challenge for the title, challenging the constructors, is kind of is coming off a little bit. We're not seeing them attacking as much as they were at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, we saw especially Rainbow really far up there in the field at the start of the season, but it seemed to drop off just a little bit as the season's gone on. So it will be interesting to see if Red Bull's able to regain that championship fighting form. But as always, with qualifying not going so well for them, it isn't looking very hopeful.
I know. So we'll see how it goes for them. They do also exhibit race pace. Luca did have an incredible race last week and came P2. So that was great. He was definitely in contention for that victory as well. So we know that Luca has the pace. Once, hopefully, whatever issues he is currently facing right now, once they get sorted, he'll be able to get a time on the board and be competitive in the race. But we are seeing that all three of our top runners right now are currently out on the circuit, and they are going for a second flying lap, maybe their second to last of the session, their penultimate flying lap. So we'll have to see how well these work out. We've got Scars, who is on an out lap right now, Get Owned, and Vexit, both or all three are about to start flying laps. I think that we will see a flying lap as well from Top Jack in P4.
Yeah, Top Jack, he's reserving in for the Williams team this time round. Currently up in P4. He's looking very, very strong at the moment. Let's see what he's able to do this time round as he makes his way into the final chicane. It's a very difficult chicane and very easy to make a mistake, especially with wheel spin on the exit. Is he going to cross the line? Is it going to be an improvement? Yes, it will. A 140.765. That's currently provisional pole for the reserve driver.
Yeah, that was very, very pacey from Top Jack, just catching the end of his lap in Sector 3. Very, very quick, and absolutely where you want to put it right now. That's definitely displaying the pace that we did not see him display last week, so I think he'll be pretty pleased with that.
I think pretty pleased is a little bit of an understatement. I think Top Jack, you'll be very, very pleased with that, especially if he's able to keep up this form going into the race and maybe even keep pole until the end of qualifying. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But the Williams, he's showing the pace to be able to do so.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely going to be a close fight up at the top, as we are just seeing Scars is coming through the final few corners of Sector 3 and is about to hit that final chicane, quite aptly named chicane. So we'll see how quick. Oh, and there's a big lockup going into that one, so I'm not sure this is going to be the best lap that we've seen from Scars. And as I was just on board with Scars, we have a new driver on provisional pole. We have the reserve driver of Seung Chang on provisional pole now, and that is by quite a margin. That is by nearly 0.2 of a second on top of Scars, who did manage to improve and pip Top Jack. So he's just ahead of Top Jack now into P2, which has dropped Top Jack down to P3. So a little bit disappointing, but what a lap from Seung Chan.
Yeah, Seung Chang, an amazing lap there, a 140.5, 0.2 quicker than anybody else. Scars has also been able to pick Top Jack, so he's down into P3, but I'm sure he'll be back for more later.
Oh, definitely. And with just over 5 minutes left to go, we have just enough time to see the drivers coming in to the pits and then going on a final outlap before seeing their final flying lap. So I do think, as you said, we won't have to worry too much about congestion, but it will definitely be a race to see if somebody can get a tow, because we know that the tow can actually sometimes be quite powerful around Spa. So if the drivers can get it right, then it could be a tool that they should use to try and get that provisional pole time. So we'll see if any of the drivers attempt to do that, whether any of the teams might try to do that within the teams. Yeah, so that's an interesting strategy that we might see a little bit further on towards the end of the session.
Yeah, I think tow can be very, very important here at Spa, especially as you're making your way out Radion in that long straight before the next chicane, and then you make your way down into the hairpin of Rivage. But down that straight, it's such a long straight at high speeds. Tow can give you a massive advantage, especially at those top speeds.
Yeah, 100%, and we know that the cars do go extremely quick down that back Kemmel straight. So, yeah, definitely powerful tow, but will any of the drivers try and go for it? We'll have to wait and see, because I think, like you said, it can be extremely powerful, but are the drivers clever enough, and are they switched on enough to try and figure that out in the final few minutes of qualifying? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what goes on here with the 3 minutes 40 remaining on the clock. You see the pit next to pretty much every single driver's name, Actually, we do see an outlap from Yonti, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But with 3 minutes left on the clock, we see drivers sprinting back into the pit lane to get themselves prepared for their final sprint.
Yeah, and we are seeing that there are a couple of drivers who do not have times on the board at all right now. So we have Rainbow and Luca, so both of the Red Bull drivers do not currently have times on the board. We have the reserve Ferrari driver of Sung Hyun on his outlap right before a flyer. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. And we have Ace, who is back in the Racing Point. So we haven't seen Ace for a couple of weekends. For a couple of weeks, so we'll see if Ace is able to pull anything out of the bag. Tiemann did do an interesting race last week. He was a bit off the pace, but in contention for those top points paying positions. So having two bright pink cars on the grid, having two Racing Points, it will be interesting to see what they will both be able to do today.
Yeah, so as you said, we have both of the Racing Points back on the field. We didn't see Ace out last time round, but let's see what he's able to do on his way back. But with 2 minutes 24 left for the session, it doesn't look like it's going to be the best qualifying for the Racing Point.
Yeah, no, it's not looking ideal for either of the Red Bull drivers at the minute either, but we are starting to see the pits getting a little bit full. We're starting to see the drivers starting their final outlap. So yeah, we have Vexit, Danico, Get Owned, Top Jack, all on outlaps at the minute. We have Seung Chan on his final outlap as well. Oh, but stopping on the track. So, oh no, we're doing a practice start. That's what we're doing. Interesting. Yeah, interesting what's going on around there. Just having a bit of a look on board with the Renault at the minute, but that was a bit confusing as to what he was doing. But we'll have a look that he is on an outlap. We're seeing Scars exiting the pit as well on their outlaps. So as you say, Kai, we are at the calm before the storm, and we are about to hit the actual storm. So let's see what these drivers can pull out of the bag in the final minute and a half of qualifying.
Yeah, and I think with that 1 minute remaining, you see everyone on an outlap or a flying lap, but Ace Ritchie hasn't set a lap yet, but it looks like he's going for the one-hit wonder.
Yeah, well, there is a lot of pressure that goes on that, as I'm on board with Scars, who is not having a great lap. He is all over the place in the second sector, about to hit the wall with lockups over the grass. So that is not going to be ideal, and that is an invalidated lap. So yeah, that will be an outlap, and it will be interesting to see how well he performs in that in his final flying lap after such a horrific outlap and all of the chaos that just ensued with him. So very, very interesting. But yes, coming back to the Racing Points, we are very much looking forward to them. We've got Tiemann on an outlap. We have Ace on his outlap as well. So yeah, it's very much going to be an under pressure situation for Ace. But what can he do?
Well, I mean, let's see what he's able to do as he makes his way onto his flying lap. 13 seconds ticking down on the clock now. We're going to hit 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And it is checkered flag out for anyone that crossed the line now. Seung Chan and Scars both finished their laps, and no improvement from them. Looks like they are done for now. Both of them were actually in the pit lane to pick up on. But the Racing Point on his hot lap, he's going to make his way down into the Rivage hairpin. Now very long sweeping right-hander. It's all about trailing the brakes and carrying as much speed as you can through it. Looks pretty clean for the Racing Point now as he makes his way into Puon. We see a lot of drivers make a mistake here. We saw Giovinazzi quite recently, actually, in Spa. We saw him go off on the final lap into the wall, so that was unfortunate to see last year. But now, as we see Ace make his way down into Stavelot, and he's going to make his way through Blanchimont. No, not Blanchimont, sorry, he makes his way through Stavelot now, and he's soon going to be making his way into Blanchimont. The little curve before we make our way into bus stop. We see a lot of drivers go for overtakes around Blanchimont. Never actually pays off, though. So I guess drivers are going to opt out of it this time. Goes into the bus stop chicane, using the curb on the inside, locking up the wheels. Not so much curb on the second part. Doesn't get any wheel spin. Accelerates. DRS enabled. What's it going to be? It's going to be P2. of 1:40.576. A great lap there from the Racing Point.
Yeah, and just riding on board with him, we saw that was an incredible sector too, fastest of anyone that we've had so far, and remains the fastest. So brilliant job from Ace there. Did absolutely pull it out of the bag in the in the final few moments of qualifying, and we are seeing that. Yeah, qualifying is coming to an end now. So great job from Ace there to put it all the way up into P2. A little bit disappointing that Sung Chan and Scars were unable to make final flying laps as a result of being in the pit lane. So clearly they thought it was quick enough, but it has definitely paid off for Sung Chan, who has now converted that provisional pole into actual pole.
Yeah, great lap there from the Renault driver, but it's going to be him on pole. Ace in second, then Scars Top Jack, our first reserve in the list, and it's going to be Get Owned. Sorry, not our first reserve in the list, that's actually Sung Chan. Then we have Get Owned, Daniko, Sung Hyun. Then we have Vexit, Fragioko, Hughes, Yongti, Tiemann, Copy, Landris Milkman, Hazard, Rainbow, Birkin, and Luca rounding out the grid here for Spa. Just about got it in time.
Yeah, and as we see, those bottom three drivers did not set a time, so they will have a little bit less experience around the track as the other drivers do, but hopefully they will be able to pull something out of the bag. And I hear your reaction to seeing those dark clouds hanging over Spa. We know that this is one of the most unpredictable circuits in terms of weather conditions, and it looks like we're going to be in for a rainy race.
It is actually a little bit of drizzle raining down onto the track, so this is definitely going to be interesting. Are the drivers going to be forced to stay on their dry tyres, or will it be the intermediate compound that comes into choice?
Well, that would definitely be very interesting. Maybe we could see them jump onto full wets. It depends how saturated this circuit gets, how much heavier the rain could potentially get. Looks like intermediates right now would be the optimal starting tyre, but we'll have a look. I'm very much excited for this. Changeable conditions can definitely affect the outcome of a race, and so it will be very interesting to see how much the order shuffles up, especially after the first lap.
Yeah, but name a better thing than Spa in the wet and drivers trying to overtake each other up a Rouge and Bradion.
You can't. Nothing better. Nothing beats it.
Yeah, especially with the rain pouring down on the Belgian circuit, this is really going to prove a challenge for the drivers, especially with these high-speed corners. They're just going to have to be very tentative on the throttle and be careful that the cars don't rotate and maybe even cause a collision.
Yeah, and we are seeing those green ringed tyres, so we are on the intermediates, and the predicted stop is probably to go back onto intermediates. So it's looking like the weather is going to continue in this rainy state for a large portion of the race, and that's what the forecast seems to be. So, it's going to be very, very interesting. Very difficult to keep the car centered, especially when you're going flat out down Eau Rouge and Radion. It's going to be very, very difficult with low visibility as well. So interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, and with the way that the track looks right now and the sky above it, it really doesn't look like it's going to clear up anytime soon.
Definitely not. So it's going to be conditions like this that we're going to have to deal with for the rest of the race. So Sung Chan is going to be in the optimal position, really, for the beginning of the race, because he's going to be in the most clear air. He's going to have the best visibility of all of the drivers, so it's going to be massively vital for him to get a good start off the line. Ace, Scars, Top Jack in P2, 3 and 4 are definitely going to be hoping to jump him as well going into the source of turn 1, so it will be very interesting to see who ends up on top, because they are going to be in the best position going forward.
Yeah, and as you see, the predicted strategy, it's intermediates all the way for now.
Yeah, as it should be. I mean, we'll keep an eye on the weather conditions to see if it gets any heavier, but inters look like the perfect choice to be on. I wonder if it clears up, we might see slicks and differing strategies, so could definitely be very interesting to see how this race plays out over the 22 laps that we have, as we see the drivers properly lining up onto the grid now.
Yeah, so as the drivers make their way onto the grid now, let's see what happens here. As I said, making their way onto the grid, composing themselves, getting themselves prepared, and trying to clear a little bit of visibility out of that visor slot.
As we see the final guys slipping into position. It's a very, very short run down to the first corner, so let's see what those drivers are capable of today.
Yep, so as we get ourselves onto the grid and get ourselves prepared, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 red lights on the gantry. And it's lights out and away we go here in Spa-Francorchamps as we are going to watch. This is the Renault Seung-chan, didn't get the best start at all, and that's Ace Richie into lead. Top Jack, is he going to be looking for second position? As we see them going down the minimal straight, and it's going to be Top Jack into second position for now. So as we go up Eau Rouge and Radion now, do we see any major collisions? No, we don't. Everyone fits through nicely. And that looks like that's a McLaren going for a move in the background. Yes, it is. Danny Copas, Seung-chan. Seung-chan definitely not had the best start. And it looks like Top Jackie's challenging for the lead. That's Ace Richie going very, very wide. And that's also a 3-second time penalty already.
Oh, that's not what you want, ideal. He's had a brilliant start up into P1, and then you are hit with a penalty, so that's not ideal at all. But, yeah, Seung-chan just did not get the best start at all. It's all the way down to 6th position, so that's not ideal and not what you want from this track. But it is positive. We've seen all of the drivers make it through lap 1 unscathed. We've had no collisions, but we are seeing that the drivers have a lot of spray behind them. So Ace is in that prime position right now in that clear air with the best visibility.
Yep, so Ace has the best visibility, but doesn't have the best penalties to his name. 3 seconds already applied to the racing point, and that really won't give him the best amount of confidence, but it will for the drivers behind. They'll be sitting behind, laughing at the driver ahead, and thinking that they've got this race in the bag from now.
Yeah, Top Jack is in a pretty good position. I mean, Ace is pulling a little bit further away from him. It's about 7. It's hovering between 7 and 8 tenths of a second at the minute. The gap between Ace in P1 and Top Jack in P2. But Top Jack is in a great position right now because he's not too close to Ace ahead that he's being blinded by the spray. But he's in the perfect position because he will inherit P1 once Ace is penalised. So it's working out great for Top Jack, and definitely much more of a positive start to his race than we had last week.
Yep, so definitely more positive for the Williams driver as he makes his way up Eau Rouge and Radion. We have the timing tower all over the place like usual on the second lap here, just getting itself used to these conditions as well as the drivers. Yellow flag, sector 1, who's that? That looks like it is either a Ferrari or a Racing Point that's had an incident there. Is that Birkin Oz? That's went off. It's a safety car.
Well, we completely missed that. I think it must have been Birkin Oz because he is now out of this race. He's gone. So whatever happened there, it must have created a little bit of damage. There must have been a collision with someone because that is and Hazard has picked up a penalty for ignoring yellow flags as well. So already 2 penalties on the grid and we're only on lap 3. So definitely like we predicted it would be. But I wonder how long this safety car will run for. It will definitely help the timing screen to figure out exactly what's going on and help the drivers to close in back on each other.
Yep, so as we see the safety car, of course, we unfortunately see an Alfa Romeo leave the race this early on. Was there either a collision or just a mistake there from Birkin Oz? I guess we will never know. But unfortunately, that does mean that he is out of the race for now. But we move on. Safety car for these drivers. Is anyone going to go into the pits, though?
I'm not sure we're going to see a dive into the pits. I mean, we are coming around Sector 3 right now, so we will see in a couple of seconds to see if anyone will jump into the pits. But those inters look like they're doing fine for everyone right now. But perhaps it's wet enough for someone to try wets. Who knows? It looks like inters are doing perfectly fine for me. But we will have a little see as we do see the front runners going past the pit lane. So it is looking like we are going to see everyone remain on the tyres that they are currently on. But I was just having a look at Vexit, who has actually dropped a lot of places since the beginning of the race. He's currently in P7, right behind our former pole sitter of Seung-chan. So it will be interesting off the start line to see which one of those gets the jump, because it's definitely going to be very close between the two of them wanting to get back to the front of the grid.
Yep. So as the drivers catch their way onto the safety car, two drivers do pit. That is Hazard and Rainbow. Remember, the Mercedes drivers of Hazard, he will have saved his 5-second pit lane. Well, 5-second pit lane, 5-second penalty in the pit lane. No, he hasn't actually. He's opted not to save the penalty. That 5 seconds for ignoring yellow flags, unfortunately, has not been served by the Mercedes driver. But what tyres have they went on to? They've went on to a fresh set of intermediate. So maybe a little bit of damage caused there. Well, I guess we'll have to see how they recover from this this pits that will have to come in.
I wonder if Hazard was not allowed to serve that penalty due to the safety car conditions.
Yes, due to the safety car. Yes, that's
so
my
that could
that's
definitely.
my fault there.
No worries. It could definitely have been the reason that Hazard didn't save that penalty. So that is not great for him. Obviously, ideally you would have been able to save that penalty and get back round to join the rest of the pack that has been bunched up by the safety car. So yeah, not ideal for Hazard all the way down in P16. Also not ideal for Rainbow, who is one of the contenders right at the top of these standings at the minute. I think Rainbow is in P4. So not great for Rainbow to be in P17 for this race. He's definitely going to be wanting to get back to the front of the grid as soon as possible.
Yep. So as these drivers get themselves prepared, obviously with the wet tyres and the wet conditions, those tyre temps will definitely not be optimal for these drivers. So they really will have to start trying to warm them up if they do want any chance of being competitive off the restart.
Yeah, we're going to see some drivers weaving a little bit, but they've got to be very, very careful because the slippy conditions and weaving off the racing line is not going to be ideal, because you can definitely pick up a little bit of aquaplaning potentially and slide off. So the drivers are going to have to maintain peak control of their vehicles if they do not want to suffer through any damage. But we actually have had some massive shuffle ups around in the timing screens on the order. So Luca has made up 8 places on that opening lap, so that was very, very impressive from him. Copy just ahead of Luca in P9 made up 4 places, so those guys are ones to watch out for because they clearly have a lot of pace and are able to capitalize on the chaos that is going on in front of them, so they are definitely ones to watch out on the restart. And definitely we could maybe even see some contact between them because they're both looking a bit racy today.
Yeah, both of them looking very, very quick at the moment. But another driver that was looking quick and ready to race off the restart. Obviously, the Williams of Top Jack made his way up into second position from 4th. And I'm sure he'll be making that, he'll be hoping to make that 4th to 1st.
Yeah, definitely hoping, and it's definitely possible because he and Ace definitely both have a lot of pace right now. Ace does have that penalty, but it would be absolutely ideal for Top Jack to be able to jump Ace and have that visibility and have that ability to control the race from P1. So that's what Top Jack is going to be after. He's here for a week and he wants to show exactly what he's made of, and I think he's done a fabulous job so far. So we'll keep a close eye on him on the restart and that battle for P1, because I think it's going to be a very, very intense one.
Yeah, it really will be. You can see the racing point of Ace raring to go as he goes pretty much side by side with the safety car, as he's pretty much just telling it to go a little bit faster. Nearly contact between the two. That definitely wouldn't be the best for the racing point. This is a risky position that he's putting himself in. He's already backing up the field. He knows that it's going to be safety car in this lap as we have the whole field in. And race control confirms it. Safety car in this lap.
Yeah, so we can see that he's already having a little weave around, and I mean, you'd think he'd go a little bit slower to just give that safety car a little bit of space, but yeah, we can see all of the drivers weaving. Top Jack trying to get out of the way of Ace ahead just so that they do not collide right before we start racing again, as we are coming through the final couple of corners in Sector 3. All of the drivers are looking very slippery slidey around the corners, and that is was that a little lock-up, or was it just spray from Top Jack? I don't think it was a lock-up. So, yeah, interestingly, we are coming around that final chicane and ready to restart.
Yep, so it is going to be foot on the throttle for Ace, Richie, Top Jack, not caught out at all as they make their way into La Source for the first time here. As we I was going to say regain control of the race, I guess you could say that. But as the drivers make their way down to Eau Rouge and Radion, especially with that overtake open, it's going to be really easy for these drivers to lose control of their car as they go up there. I'm guessing that was the issue with Burke and Oz, as we saw the Alfa Romeo car retire in the Radion section of the complex. But as Ace goes into the lead for now, 7/10 gap to the drive behind, we see Get-Own, Danico, and Seong Chan all very close to each other, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, so you can see what the benefit is of being in that clear air right now, because Ace is already extending that gap much further. So Top Jack is doing a great job to kind of stay on the back of Ace at the minute. I don't think we're going to have DRS enabled in the next couple of laps just due to the conditions, but if we keep an eye on them, we are still getting a little bit of drizzle, so we'll keep an eye on the conditions, and hopefully DRS will be enabled towards the end of the race and we'll be able to see a couple of overtakes. But also around Spa, we don't necessarily need DRS, so this is definitely going to be a testament to the drivers and who's capable of making those overtakes stick without DRS, and we'll see them in some unconventional spots. And I, for one, am very, very looking forward to it, because it's definitely going to be a competition of racecraft and drivers' abilities.
Yeah, and I think something that people think about Spa is that it's a DRS track. It's all about the DRS train as you make your way up Eau Rouge and Radion. You have that long straight with the DRS enabled. If you're within a decent range of the driver ahead, it's pretty much a confirmed overtake if you manage to keep your foot down. But especially with it raining now and DRS not enabled, it's all down to the skill through the tight and twisty sections.
Yes, as we are just coming onto a brand new lap, we're back down the straight. We're heading to Eau Rouge and Radion and down the Kemmel Straight. So, yeah, Top Jack is holding on just 7/10 behind Ace while we have a yellow flag. So, who do we have in the pits? And something has gone wrong with Luca. Yeah, Luca's retired. Interesting. We haven't seen much about Luca. He did not set a time in qualifying, so a little bit disappointing. Not how he's going to want the race to have turned out for him, but teammate Rainbow in P16, and definitely going to be getting a little bit racy with Tierman, who is interesting.
That's very, very far over the corner for Rainbow there. 5-second penalty for corner cutting. To be honest, that's not what I was expecting there. I was expecting the same as Ace, as he pretty much did the same thing as the Racing Point on the first lap.
Yeah, well, that is a hefty penalty for Rainbow, who's already in last place in this race, so that is not ideal for Rainbow's race, and it's not going well for him. But back to the front of the grid, we've seen that Top Jack has just jumped out of DRS range, so he's just over 1 second behind Ace. Not that it matters, because DRS is not currently enabled anyway, but we are seeing that Ace is managing to extend that gap, and Top Jack is falling behind, even just by a couple of tenths. So, yeah, he's doing a much better job of holding on than the other drivers are behind, as we see Scars is falling much further behind Top Jack in P2. So, interestingly, Top Jack has a good grasp on the gap between himself and Ace ahead, so we'll have to see how that one plays out and whether he's close enough to make a move stick.
Yep, so as we see Rainbow going for a move on Tierman here around the outside into the bus stop chicane. Beautiful move there from the Red Bull. Takes the apex for the second part of the corner, and that is the move done for Rainbow. He's got that penalty and he thinks no more sitting around, as we see drivers going on to the slick compound of tyres. And as you can see from the driver's T-pod view, there is no more rain for these drivers to worry about.
Yeah, so this track is drying out fairly quickly. We can see that there's not even any spray going on anymore. So I'm on board with Get Owned right now, who has come out in P14 on the medium tyres, but we know that Get Owned is absolutely incredible and probably one of the best drivers on this grid in terms of tyre management. So how long can those medium tyres actually go? Are we going to have to see the drivers pit again? Potentially. The change of favourable weather conditions could pull a reverse switch on us, and we could see some more rain towards the end of the race. But it has cleared up for now, and as a result, we are seeing those drivers jump onto slicks. How soon will our leaders jump onto those slicks? Because we do have Ace and Top Jack, who are both still currently running on the intermediate tyres. But are they going to see the other drivers and how well the slicks are working for them? And who's going to be the first one to jump into the pits? And will they be able to pull off the undercut?
Yeah, so as we see quite a few drivers going onto the medium compounder tyres, thinking that they'll be able to last it as long as possible. I guess we'll have to wait and see, as it doesn't look right now like those medium compounder tyres are the best choice, as we see Get-Own just losing time to the driver ahead that is on the intermediate. But as you see, DRS enabled, maybe it's time for the slicks. As we see, the top guys all dive into the pit lane as soon as they see that. Yeah,
so let's see which tyres they'll go on. Are we going to see them on the mediums just like Get-Owned? It's looking like, it's looking, as I'm riding on board with Top Jack, it's looking like the rest of the drivers in the pit lane are going to be going onto the mediums as well. So potentially Get-Owned was just suffering with that first lap warm-up for the mediums, trying to get them switched on in that right window where they are working optimally. So who knows whether the drivers ahead will be able to switch them on any quicker. Maybe they're going to have a similar lap like Get-Owned was. But Get-Owned has managed to jump all the way up into P10 now. Oh, go on.
Oh no, we've seen the Ferrari of Sung Hyun. He's accidentally went onto another set of inters.
Oh no. Yeah, I'm seeing that. So the green tyre of intermediates he is now on. So that is not ideal. Are we going to see him jumping back into the pit lane for a new set of tyres?
I think we will. We'll see him jump in very soon, because you can see the amount of time he's losing to the cars around him on those medium compounder tyres. It really isn't looking good for the Ferrari driver right now.
No, and he was running really well up in P8, so he is now, P7 he was running in, P8 currently, so really disappointing. That's definitely going to put a damper on his race. And, so our pole sitter of Sung Chan has now got a penalty as well. So, interestingly, we are going to see a very penalty-dependent fight for the lead of this race. As is Sung Chan still on the intermediate tyres? Yes, he is. So he's still running on those old tyres. And Top Jack has just been confirmed to have been given a 3-second penalty as well. So we are seeing that the top guys are being thrown having penalties thrown at them left, right, and centre, which is not ideal for their race. And now it's equalised the field a little bit more, shall we say, and there's going to be an actual battle on track for it.
Yeah, that's 100% not what you want to see from these drivers right now. Top Jack was in the battle for the lead of the race, and yes, we do see Sung Hyun go back into the pit lane for some, I'm guessing it's going to be dry tyres this time round. Yes, it is. It's going to be the medium compounder tyres going onto the Ferrari car. But Top Jack picks up a penalty. Now it's going to be a race on track.
Yeah, interestingly, I just want to point out that Sung Chan at the minute is on soft tyres while everyone else on the field is running on the mediums. So that's an interesting choice from the Renault in P3 right now. Maybe he thinks that the soft tyres are going to be able to go to the end of the race. It's a very interesting choice of strategy, as I'm seeing that I think Hude has just had a little incident. Or is it? No, it is Sung Hyun, who has DNF'd. So, wow, that's the third DNF of the race thus far. Interesting.
That looks like it was a manual retirement on track, which is not allowed by the steward's book. But I guess we'll have to wait and see for a pre-race verdict, and his car is stopped on the track. So will we see no, we won't. I was wondering if we saw some sort of safety car, but no, seems like everything will be fine for the drivers now. But you can see Jack using a lot of his overtake now to keep on the back of the racing point ahead of him. He just needs to keep that bright pink car in his view. He needs the DRS down this long straight if he wants any chance of getting a getting the win here.
Yeah, well, DRS coupled with the slipstream that is very, very powerful down that. And he's just got the fastest lap, so he clearly has a lot of pace behind that Racing Point right now, and it's looking like he is going to be in DRS range, and so we need to keep a close eye because this overtake can definitely happen throughout Sector 1. So, yeah, he's right on the back of him, not quite close enough to make a move into Eau Rouge as we've seen drivers like Pierre Gasly and Sergio Perez do in the last couple of years. So, oh, right on the back. Is he going to be able to do it going into... And it looks like he's going to be able to make that move stick going down the inside, but it was very, very close and right at the end of the DRS zone. So definitely getting all of the benefit of that slipstream going down there. And Top Jack has now on track made the... and we've got Sung Chan, who has also made a move on Ace for P2 in the race. So incredible move from him as well, not expected, but definitely capitalized on Top Jack's move beforehand. So... brilliant. We just saw a hell of a lot of overtakes in that first sector and the first half of Sector 2. So, yeah, we've had a complete shuffle for the lead. But are we going to see Sung Chan start to attack Top Jack?
Well, I think I really wouldn't be surprised if we do see Sung Chan go for an attack on the Williams car ahead of him, especially because he's on that soft compounder tyres. They're not going to last long, and whilst they do last, he's got to make the most of them.
Yeah, this is absolutely fantastic as well, watching these two reserve drivers who we do not normally get to see having such a compelling battle for the lead of the race as well. So absolutely fantastic, and those softs are definitely giving Sung Chan a great benefit right now over Top Jack. It's just how long they'll be able to last, really, just as you said. So yeah, Sung Chan has now got the fastest lap. We're seeing the laps jump down into the 149s as he's all over the back of Top Jack and is going to have DRS down that long back straight. So, oh, yeah, are we going to see a move get done?
Yep, so we see Sung Chan all over the back of Top Jack right now. Let's see what he's able to do. They're going to go side by side down the straight. Are they going to go down into the chicane? Yes, they are. Sung Chan into the lead. It looks like Ace tries to make his way through. Doesn't manage to make it stick, though. But as we see, Jack still in the running for the lead now. But when those soft tyres start to go off for the Renault, it does bring the Racing Point and the Williams back into contention.
Yeah, definitely, and I do think we could definitely see a couple more laps, very, very similar content, because these guys are all very, very close together. We could be seeing Ace come back at Top Jack and go for another move, so as he's falling back a little bit behind Top Jack, though. But definitely we're going to see a little more action between these front runners, and it's actually worth noting that all three of those front runners have penalties at the minute. So this is a true on-track battle because the penalties are completely negated by the fact that they're all suffering through the same thing. I mean, they are going to lose out currently to Scars, who is in P4, and Danico in P5. Danico's had a quiet but successful race thus far as well. So, yeah, how long, I think is the question as we're halfway through this race, is how long those soft tyres that Sung Chan is on and how long are they going to last, really?
Yeah, so as we see a new fastest lap set there, just remember, Top Jack's still in the DRS zone of the driver ahead of him, Sung Chan. Didn't get the best of starts, but it looks like this is going to be the revival zone of his race.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is getting quite racy on track now. We're seeing the times tumble down. So just as you said that we had seen a fastest lap from Sung Chan, that fastest lap was about 3 seconds quicker than the one previously. So we are seeing that the track has completely dried out. There is no indication that we even had rain at the beginning of this race, as we see a big lock-up from Sung Chan into the hairpin. So yeah, the track has completely dried up, the slicks are working very well, and the lap times are coming crumbling back down. But Top Jack is still within DRS range, so we could definitely still see some spicy moves going on there. It seems like the rest of the pack is a little bit stagnant as well. We haven't really seen too many overtakes going on there as, I just jumped to see what Get Owned was getting up to, and he's just been slapped with a 3-second time penalty. So not working great for the Renault, who has actually been one of the star drivers in the last couple of races, but he is down in P7 right now on medium tyres, and it doesn't seem like he's got the pace to really make his way through the pack and start attacking the front of the field today.
Yeah, so being able to attack the front of the grid today, unfortunately, you were saying earlier that the Red Bulls weren't able to be competing at the front of the grid. And unfortunately, with one retirement from Luca and Rainbow in second last with that 5-second penalty, it's really not looking good for the Red Bull team right now. But Vexit, fastest lap of the race. Let's see what he's able to do now.
Yeah, so Vexit up into P5. He's doing an incredible job of hunting down the drivers ahead of him as we see him going through Rouge and Radion and riding all of the curbs, getting the absolute maximum that he can to carry through all of the speed that he possibly is able to do going through this, going down this back straight. And he definitely has etched a little bit of time between him and Scars in P4. And that time is coming crumbling down. It's just within DRS range now, but whether he'll be able to close up a little bit as we come to the end of the lap, and maybe the next lap he'll be able to start attacking Scars. It's very, very interesting to see. I think that Scars and Vexit is definitely going to be a battle that we will need to keep our eyes on right now as we come back to the front of the grid. It's still the same order, so Sung Chan is in P1, Top Jack in P2, and Ace in P3. So the three of them still in the same order and still within DRS range of each other. So I think it's very much turned into a little bit of a train between them, but it's whether one of them can capitalise and make an overtake stick to change the order up a little bit.
Yeah, so Top Jack, 8% ERS remaining, and with 9 laps left in this race, 6% ERS now. That's really not the position that you want to be in. You want to be in the position like Seung Chan with 57% ERS left. He's able to burn this on the straight, and it looks like Top Jack's done a little bit too much burning at the moment. He's going to have to use the DRS, but not use his overtake.
Yeah, very, very interesting, as Sung Chan actually has the most DRS out of the top 3 runners. We see Ace, a yellow flag, and is that Rainbow retiring from this race? We are seeing that Rainbow is beached just before the final chicane, so he's stuck on the grass right there, got the car moving, so is he going to be able to make it back to the pits? And he's just been slapped with a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. And that is not looking good for Rainbow. He is just crashed on the entry to the pit lane. So if that is not a retirement, I don't know what is. And yeah, that's confirmed. Rainbow has now retired the race. And that's really disappointing for both the Red Bull cars. It's not been ideal for either of them, and we are now with a safety car. But I don't think anyone's going to be able to come into the pits. So that is not going to be good for Sung Chan, because he would probably have benefited from coming into the pits and swapping out those soft tyres, which I'm really not sure are going to make it to the end of this race.
Yeah, those soft tyres not looking in the best condition, and yeah, I really don't think that those tyres will make it to the end of the race. So the Renault is either going to have to drive it very, very, very conservatively and have completely dead tyres at the end of the race, not being able to compete with anybody else on track, or he's going to have to come in for another pit stop and change his tyres.
Yeah, well, I wonder if he's banking on a further safety. I mean, I wonder if he was banking on this safety car. But I think if Rainbow crashed on the entry into the pit lane, I don't think the pit lane will be open.
Pit lane is open.
Pit lane is open. So as we see now, our leader, Sung Chan, is jumping into the pits now, and he will be swapping those tyres. So, Kai, you and I were absolutely right. He could not go to the end of the race on those tyres and is going to be swapping. Is it for a new set of softs? It absolutely is.
Yeah, but it does look like everybody else is coming in as well for a fresh set of soft tyres, just so they can be extra competitive at the end of the race. Danico takes the lead of the race for now, as he does not decide to pit on those medium tyres. But is that actually a very, very smart move from the McLaren, knowing that the leaders has penalties? He doesn't have any penalties, and he will have track position.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely
Fragioco.
spot on there. We could see some incredible things from Danico, and we could definitely see a maiden victory from him, as long as he keeps it clean, does not pick up the penalties, and is able to make those medium tyres last. I mean, the medium tyres in reality should be absolutely fine to go to the end of this race. It's just whether he can defend from the all of the guys behind him. So the 5 drivers that are behind him are all on brand new soft tyres now, so it's whether he can defend from all of those to maintain that victory or maintain that P1 position or maintain a podium position. But like you said, the 3 drivers behind have penalties, so Danico is in an ideal position, I'd say.
Fragioco.
Oh,
I have so many questions for you right now.
me
Just
too.
why? Just why would you go onto wet tires in dry conditions? I don't know if this is some sort of meme, some sort of joke, but I can tell you now, this isn't going to end well.
Definitely. I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, seeing those blue wet tyres, why? I mean, we'll see. Is he going to come back into the pits? I wonder if it was just a miscommunication like we probably had with, who was it that jumped onto in another set of intermediates earlier?
That was Sung Hyun.
Yes, so are we going to, is it another situation like that? That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, interesting choice. And how long is this safety car going to last if we manage to get rid of the damage and the wreckage of Rainbow's car? I should hope that it's not too long, but it doesn't look like
it should be in this lap.
Fingers crossed, because we are coming through Sector 3, but we haven't had the notification from race control.
No, it's too late now.
Yeah. So we'll see
in next lap.
Perfect.
And we'll also see if Fragioco decides to pit.
Lane. So it must have been a slight error on a miscommunication between Fragioco and the pit crew. So he's going to be coming in to go probably onto the softs, just like the rest of the field.
Yes,
It's the soft tyres for Fragioco. So now the only drivers out there on the medium tyres, or any different tyres to the softs, we have Hazard, who is currently in P7 on mediums, and we have Danico, who is in P1 on the mediums as well. And they've done about 7 laps, so still not bad for a tyre, but not as competitive as all of the drivers who are going to be on those softs.
Yeah, so it looks like it is going to be an interesting race for Danico. Danico on those medium compounded tyres, but all 3 drivers behind him, they all have 3 seconds of penalties. So if he manages to keep within 3 seconds of them, then I think he might be in for a good race.
Definitely. So he's going to be he's going to be very, very excited, and it's how quick will he be able to beat off that restart, because we know that the soft tyres are going to be very, very quick, and they're in the prime position to start making moves happen because they are fresh rubber, hot rubber. So the softs are going to be perfect for the beginning of this restart, and it's whether anyone can make moves stick before they start to drop off. I think they will be able to, and it will be difficult for Danico to stay ahead of them. So yeah, you're absolutely right. As long as he can stay within 3 seconds, he's in for a good one.
Yeah, so on those medium compound tyres, obviously he'll be nowhere near on the pace of those fresh, soft tyres behind him. But I think if he's able to keep some sort of pace up, then he might have a chance of keeping this race win.
Yeah, we've just had the notification that safety car is in this lap, so we will be going racing again for lap 17 out of 22, which is meaning that we only have about six laps left of racing. So it's going to be a very, very intense 6 laps. And there's definitely going to be all to play for with all of these drivers who are on fresh rubber, vying for position left, right, and centre. So I'm very much looking forward to this lap. So we could definitely see some contact as well. So all of the drivers are going to have to be very, very careful. Danico in particular needs to keep it completely clean. Vexit is going to have a brilliant opportunity to jump ace on the start line, as he has been looking very, very racy and is probably going to be out for position. So Vexit is also in a great position, who's currently net P2, so one to watch.
Yep, so as we get underway, Danico, he leads the pack as they make their way down into Eau Rouge, overtake enabled on pretty much every single car on this grid, trying to get such a good run going into Eau Rouge and running out of Radion. The DRS, or not DRS, the overtake is enabled once again on the McLaren car. He's got those medium tyres, and as DRS is not enabled, this is his prime time to try and pull some sort of gap on the drivers behind.
Yeah, and we're seeing an incident involving Hazard, I think, who is dropping all the way down the order. So I'm not sure if there was contact, but I just saw Hazard falling absolutely down the timesheet. So he has not had the best start to this race. He did not pit, so he was running up in the points. But unfortunately is no longer doing so. So he's managed to get it going again. But coming back to the front of the grid where we have this fight for P1, we have Seung Chang, who is all over the back of Danico in that McLaren, and it looks like there was almost contact between them going through those couple of corners. So it's very, very interesting. He's all over the back of Danico, and I would be surprised that before the end of this lap, Seung Chang is not back in the lead of this race.
Yeah, but Danico driving very defensively right now, and that's exactly what he's going to need to do for the next 5 laps if he wants any chance of getting a podium. Here you can see just putting his car in the middle of the track, the perfect position to try and fend off a car. Young on the outside, and there's contact between two of them. That sends the Renault over the corner, but sends him into the lead. I'm sure that the McLaren will not be happy with that one. He's going to try up the inside into La Source. And there was contact there. That was Top Jack, and it looks like that's Seung Chang round.
That was insane. We saw 3 wide. We saw the cars going 3 wide. That was Top Jack, Ace, and Danico that were getting involved. And I think it was... Oh, no. It was Top Jack, Seung Chang, and Danico? Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
that's what I said. I'm so confused right now because we've seen Seung Chang drop right down into 6th position, so that's not ideal. He was doing absolutely brilliantly. I was seeing all kinds of contact and all kinds of movement around those top 6 drivers, and we've seen a spin, and that's Top Jack. Oh no, that's his race absolutely ruined. Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, there was very scrappy battling going on there. And Top Jack just rotated in the middle of it. That's such a shame for him. Ace forces his way past Vexit. But you know who's got a little bit of a gap now? It's Danico.
All that chaos behind him. He was reaping it, and now he's got a 6/10 gap in front of Ace. 7/10 now. So Danico, a little bit less pressure on him now, but he does not have those drivers with all of the penalties stuck behind him. So he's definitely going to have to pull out a lap off his own back because the penalties aren't going to save him and get him, keep him in a victory position or a podium position. So yeah, that was very scrappy battle, and we saw a lot of contact between those top cars, but now we have Ace in P2, Begsit P3, and Scars in P4, and you know what? The Renault of Get Owned has jumped his teammate of Seung Chang into P5, so Get Owned, after not having the brilliant start to the race, is now in prime position to be potentially taking the fight to the leaders and going for a podium.
Yep, but with DRS enabled now, this is really where Danico's going to start getting in trouble. And who's that?
That's
who's
Top
that going
Jack,
to
who has retired in the pit lane.
Yeah.
That is
That's
such
a shame for him.
Twins. We said it, great minds think alike. Yeah, such a shame for Top Jack. He had been having an absolutely brilliant race. So very, very disappointing. He had the pace to win the race today, and he had the pace in quali, so he did everything right. So real shame that Top Jack hasn't been able to convert that into a great result. But we still have an incredible fight going on at the front of the grid. So Danico, who has found himself in the lead of this race, has that gap shrinking down to 0.2 of a second between him and Ace in between P1 and P2. So that is not ideal, and Ace is all over the back of Danico right now. But he is, as you said, driving extremely well defensively and managing to maintain that gap now. So Danico, with just 3 laps left of this race, is driving for the victory.
Yeah, and Ace obviously has that penalty, but if Vexit's there to keep the Racing Point company, and who's that off? It's Hazard into the gravel trap.
Oh, so not going well at all for that, for the Merc driver. He's absolutely, since he put those, since he kept those mediums on, and since that pit stop that everyone took for the soft tires, it's not been going well for him. We've seen him having a couple of incidents. So yeah, Fragioko right in front of him. He's right at the back of that DRS train that we have in the midfield at the minute. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. We have got everyone within DRS range, and it is extremely close between all of the 13 drivers that are remaining on the grid right now. And with a couple of drivers picking up penalties, 5 of the drivers in total with penalties, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what the finishing order looks like. As we see Ace going for a move on Danico, and is he going to make it? Yes, he does. So Ace goes into the lead of this race, and well done, Danico, for all the defending. But he has succumbed to Ace's advances finally as we head into the hairpin. I think Danico might have a try to come back at Ace, but will he be able to do it on those colder, older, medium tyres?
Yeah, and with that gap already starting to form between the Racing Point and the McLaren, he's got Vexit to worry about now, our championship leader, and we know he has the pace to get past the McLaren, but it's just going to be a question of when and where will the move take place.
Definitely, and now we're seeing that Danico is going to fall victim to Vexit. And Scars is definitely on the back of Vexit as well. So which one of the Mercedes and the AlphaTauri will be able to attack Danico first? Very much a question, because it's very, very close between the two of them. And Scars is going to go for an overtake on Vexit, and he's going to make it stick. Going into the final chicane, and there's going to be contact between them. We saw a little bit of a lock-up from Scars, but he managed... No, and there's contact between them, so they're both... Oh no, they both made it back onto the track. That was very, very interesting. But there was contact, and now Scars has dropped all the way down into P8, Vexit P6, so not ideal for them at all. And Yonti has just managed to capitalise on the chaos and jumped all the way up into P5. So, wow, that was a very scrappy fight and very, very tense between Vexit and Scars, and both of them seem to have lost out in this scenario.
Are you going to mention it, or am I? Danico is back in the running for the lead.
Yeah, you mentioned it. That's so good. I mean, we are seeing an absolutely incredible battle for this lead right now. We are on the penultimate lap at RG. I could not tell you who is going to win this race. It is absolutely incredible. He's still within 3 seconds of Ace ahead, so he technically is net P1 right now.
Yeah, Danico, he needs to deploy every single bit of battery that he has. He needs to get within DRS of Ace if he wants any chance of making that gap under 3 seconds. And as he makes his way around into the final section of the lap, the gap is nearly 2 seconds. It isn't looking on the best side for the McLaren, but Danico, is he going to be able to pull something out of the bag?
Let's not forget that Ace does have a penalty. So Danico currently is in net P1 of this race, as long as he can keep it under 3 seconds as we are heading through the final sector of the penultimate lap. As long as he can keep it close and under 3 seconds, then Ace is is unfortunately not going to remain in the lead of this race. We see, 2 seconds, just over 2 seconds the gap is now between the P1 and P2. So very, very interesting to see if Danico can eke the most out of those tyres and see, Ace is going to be on an absolute flying lap this time, and I'm absolutely all over the place.
Yeah, and remember, who's got company now? It is the McLaren. Danico. He's going to get overtaken by Ghetto now, but that does mean that he will have slipstream down this straight. It's 2 seconds between them, and this is really going to be close. 2 seconds to the leader now for Danico. We're going to watch this gap till the very last inches of the circuit. And that's a very big lock up there from the McLaren. But if we see 1.6 seconds between Ghetto and Ace now, all that Danico has to do is hold on to the back of the Renault and take that DRS down the home straight.
Yeah, Danico is looking in a great position right now. I mean, the two drivers that are ahead of him in P1 and P2 both have penalties. So as long as Danico can keep it clean and keep it perfect in the final sector as we just come into sector 3 right now. Danico is going to be in for a maiden victory in this Season 8 of the ERS in Tier 1. So Danico is just holding out. It's about 2.8.
Don't think he is.
Oh, it's about 2.8 seconds behind Ace at the minute. So is he going to be able to hold on? Those medium tires are looking absolutely gone right now as we are seeing them round in the final chicane. What's it going to be? Is it good enough?
No, it isn't. Oh, 300 separating them. Danico, all that was he didn't instantly enable the overtake out of the chicane. And that's the difference between P1 and P2 for the McLaren driver. So close to the win. But it is going to be Ace in the Racing Point, manages to pick it up. An amazing drive there from the Racing Point.
Yeah, especially with that penalty towards the end of the race. I was not sure that Ace was going to maintain that, but on the restart, he did everything absolutely perfectly. Ace has driven absolutely fantastically, as we see that driver of the day from the game has been given to Tierman. So incredible drive from him, and wow, what an unpredictable podium. Definitely not what I expected, but brilliant job from all three drivers.
Yep, so as we see the drivers spraying the champagne on the podium, that is going to be it for the Belgian Spa Grand Prix here. Let's run through the finishing order. It's going to be Ace, then by 300ths of a second, it's Danico in second place. Then it's going to get owned with the fastest lap on the final lap of the race. Then it's get owned Tierman, Copy Hued, Vexit, Seung Chan. Then it's going to be Fragioka rounding out the top 10. Best the rest will be Scars. Then Lando's Milkman, Hazard, Top Jack, Rainbow, Sung Hyun. Then it's going to be Luca and Birkin Oz rounding out the 18 drivers here at the round 11 Belgian Grand Prix.
Yeah, that was an incredibly exciting race. We ended up seeing 5 retirements, so quite a lot of our drivers ended up DNFing, but absolutely brilliant race up front, very, very unpredictable, and yeah, thank you for a wonderful race, and thanks for commentating alongside me. This has been absolutely fantastic.
No, it's been a pleasure like usual, and thank you everybody so much for tuning in. Make sure to tune in next week for some more European Racing Series action.